All right. Well, good morning, everybody. First of all, on behalf of Carl and the entire Calix family, I want to thank you very much for your time today. Carl Meyerhoefer and I put this slide deck together. We've been thinking a lot over the last few months and really a couple of years since we've launched Revenue Edge about Wi-Fi 6 and managed Wi-Fi. And we've really gotten to the point of trying to answer the question with all of our experiences, is it enough, right? Is it enough really to do just managed Wi-Fi with Wi-Fi 6 to deliver that ultimate customer experience? And that's really what we're gonna explore here today in the slide deck for the next 30 minutes. First, we're going to cover some things like industry trends and market trends around Wi-Fi 6, what's really driving it, why it's important to you as a service provider, managed Wi-Fi generally, and what managed Wi-Fi requires of you as a service provider, maybe some things you haven't been thinking about as you think about launching managed Wi-Fi, addressing the subscriber needs of today as well as tomorrow, and what some of those needs look like. And then the vision of the CSP of the future, what Calix really kind of sees the successful service provider of the future is going to look like as the years move forward. So let's talk a little bit about market trends. First and foremost, this slide, if nothing else, should tell you if you've been wondering whether there's money to be made in Wi-Fi and inside the home, this should pretty much set your mind at ease. We're talking by 2026, estimates are $26–27 billion are associated with both the hardware, if you will, solutions and the services around Wi-Fi. It's an incredibly lucrative opportunity and market. When any investor sees a market like this, a prediction like this, they see tremendous opportunities for growth and for more revenue. And as a service provider, where you're constantly fighting the perception of being a bit pipe and trying to avoid constant erosion in your bottom line, you should really look at the customer prem as a tremendous opportunity for more revenue growth and opportunities if you have the right solutions. This is all being driven by devices. We all see this ourselves individually in our own homes. Every year we have more and more devices come online. By 2023, we're talking about 28 billion devices hanging off gateways with wireless capabilities. Largest growth sector, if you see here, which is interesting, is the machine-to-machine space. You may be thinking as a service provider delivering mostly residential services, not important to you. Wouldn't make that the case. You're going to see more and more IoT and machine-to-machine communication inside customers' homes as it relates to home automation, aging in place, and other technologies long term. But more important, underneath this is what it's all about, which is about the data. And that is really the heart of what you should be thinking about as most critical to delivering a managed Wi-Fi solution. And we're going to talk about that more here later in the deck. But obviously, tremendous growth in devices overall. And obviously, it's not just to have a device in the home, it's really a device to do something with. And that something is usually broken down into two areas. One is video, over-the-top video with the likes of Disney, YouTube, Amazon, etc. But also over-the-top gaming with the new advent of Stadia as an example. Wireless console, 35 megabits per second throughput required, 4K, ultra high definition content, and very, very low latency to be successful. So very important from delivering a high quality, high capacity gateway inside the home. Kind of important to think about, it's really about the throughput required, right? Because we're not necessarily watching more television, albeit many would say with COVID, many of us may be watching more television, but it's really about within that same hour of consumption, now requiring more high definition and ultra high definition consumption versus lower definition consumption. So the amount of capacity required for that same given hour across multiple devices becomes more and more demanding. So this is really one of the reasons why Wi-Fi 6, of course, is starting to take off in that regard. And from today and into the future, it's just going to continue to see more and more of that, more and more bandwidth demands, more and more bit demands and capacity demands inside the home, in your access network, in your core network to start delivering these things. We're already starting to see 8K televisions. We're already seeing Hollywood now shoot original content in 8K. Cameras now, Blackmagic's launched a 12K raw capable camera. So the ability now for Hollywood to start delivering more content in ultra high definition 8K or more is right around the corner. So you're, as leaders and as thinkers about where you are in your investments long term, you need to be thinking about this continued insatiable demand for bandwidth and capacity in your networks, and most importantly as well, that typical bottleneck, which is inside the home. Wi-Fi 6 is really critical to this, and managing that experience, of course, is going to be very critical to you as well. Because Wi-Fi 6 is so advantageous, and you'll learn more about this in this wireless track from other players here around OFDMA, BSS coloring, and target wake time, and some of the really key things that are being brought in with Wi-Fi 6. This is really why, as IDC shows here, predictions are by 2023, 95% of sales are going to be 11AX chips. That's astounding when you think about today where you still have 11N chips sold, you have 11AC chips and 11AX6. To think that by 2023, 95% will be effectively AX is pretty amazing. So think about that in terms of where you are today with not having necessarily a Wi-Fi 6 gateway and what that might mean to you as a service provider and what you might be missing already. A lot of times the hesitation is it's expensive, it's early technology, how long is it going to be, is it going to evolve? Well, it has evolved over the last 2 years. We've certainly seen it. There have been benefits to new chipsets and silicon evolutions, but the standard is here, it's ratified. These are certifiable solutions. And from our perspective, Wi-Fi 6 is going to be here for a very long time. We truly believe that unlike a lot of times service providers think about hardware as, a 1 or a 2 year payback period, you're swapping out hardware for a new gateway. We truly believe that with the right hardware and the right software, you can place a Wi-Fi 6 gateway inside the home, and that device can sit there for 5, 6 years, just generating more and more profit, more and more revenue for you once that first 12 or 24-month payback period is met. So we really encourage you to be thinking about that from a longevity perspective and making that investment sooner than later. So why is it important to you? Well, obviously for the reasons we talked about and the opportunities for revenue. It's also very important to you because it becomes a problem for you. And the problem number one is that Wi-Fi 6 is also accelerating competition into your customer base. It's Charter, it's Comcast, Wi-Fi 6 gateways, XB7 is an example, tied together with Plume nodes. You now have competition stepping in and really pushing Wi-Fi 6 to take business away from you. Hardware manufacturers will go retail, the Netgears and others of the world, are all providing now next generation Wi-Fi 6 gateways in complementary with satellite solutions to help extend that experience further into the home. Remember, Best Buy has Geek Squad. They're also able to now offer some of those services. Keep that in mind. We talked about earlier on about the billions of dollars of opportunity. The services ecosystem around this hardware is very, very profitable. Best Buy's Geek Squad has been probably one of the most fascinating and successful businesses in Best Buy for years, and something that the service providers can learn a lot from in terms of delivering Wi-Fi 6 to their homes. So those retail players are very important. They're also very important to you because those are retail dollars that you can take advantage of as well as a service provider to get those retail dollars spent with you on your gateways and your Wi-Fi 6 solutions. And then we talk about the home invaders, and we've talked about these home invaders now for 2 years at Calix, specifically Google and Amazon, who are really coming in now and actually delivering their own Wi-Fi 6 solutions along with their voice activated services and home automation. Their goals obviously are to do this through delighting the customer through a simplified home experience for collecting information or making orders or whatever it may be, but they're now stepping into doing this through gateways and delivering those gateways as well. Each one of these are opportunities for you to lose an initial sale. Each one of these are opportunities of wallet dollars that customers are ready to go out and spend on today with new Wi-Fi 6 that you may be losing as a result. So we really want you to keep this in mind that it's not just a matter of getting a return on investment, that initial hardware spend, but it's really about the potential opportunity for you to start losing customers if you don't take advantage of this now. So if you don't, what happens? Well, if you decide to take the attitude, well, managed Wi-Fi is not for me, let them go out and buy a gateway on their own. If you think you're solving the problem, you're not. You're still getting the phone call. You can just go to your call center and ask any of your call centers in random calls who they talk to. They're still talking to customers. Well, they've got your gateway or they don't have your gateway. They're calling you because they assume it's you. They don't know the difference between LAN or WAN. So the first person they call is going to be you as the service provider. So you're not going to get away from the operational expenses of delivering broadband by not delivering a wireless gateway. You need to embrace that and understand it. Because your customers now are being bombarded with all these opportunities, the customer demand is becoming more and more difficult. They're becoming more and more challenging for you because their expectations are much higher. So it's important for you to be thinking about that because you can meet those expectations with those next generation solutions. You can avoid churn and you can reduce churn. We're going to talk later on about how important this concept of churn is and maybe some ways that you're not thinking about today as you talk about what the successful next generation service provider is. So I want you to keep that in mind in terms of churn. Obviously with churn, you see revenue reductions, you become more of a commoditized bit player. Now you're fighting for the dregs of the barrel, so to speak, of just trying to make sure that you can get your basic broadband services and you're not having to constantly reduce cost year after year after year. So these are all things that you really need to be thinking about as consequences to not delivering a best-in-class managed Wi-Fi experience. From Calix's perspective, the solution is really the solution and the opportunity, right? And it's to provide the best customer experience. It's going to attract new subscribers for you. It's going to help you eliminate that churn that you've been fighting for years and help you find those new opportunities to grow revenue. Really, really important from your perspective. So how do you do it? Well, obviously we all know about gateways. Demanding subscribers really demand solutions that fit their needs. And for the service provider, historically it's been the old Ford quote, you can have it in any color as long as it's black. That's been kind of the approach to homes and home hardware. However, today, there's no one hardware solution that meets everyone's needs, nor that meets yours as a service provider. Some solutions, some customers need voice, some don't. Others need 2.5 gig Ethernet WAN interfacing for a symmetric greater than 1 gig services as fiber to the home solutions. Others don't. Some need multiple units to cover their home because their homes are larger or they have certain construction issues that more highly attenuate the signal than others. Some don't. Some need more capacity in those homes just overall. They carry more 8K or 4K ultra high definition content and more devices, and other homes don't. So there's no one single approach to best in class managed Wi-Fi for your customer. Calix says, and we really believe, you should approach your customers with this horses for courses approach. Really the concept of that you think about it from their perspective. You talk to them about what their needs are and you understand what their needs are for their particular usage. For the same reason, I don't go into Best Buy and find one TV on the wall. The service provider should be treating their customers in the same way. When you do that, you also show that power that you have of giving customers the right solution for the right needs, and you're thinking about them specifically and not just simply reselling a pipe to your customers. So we see the growth and demand of Wi-Fi. We've seen that now. We know Wi-Fi brings with it, unparalleled capacity and efficiency in the spectrum for next generation services and best in class experiences inside the home. We see now that competition's breathing down our necks and your necks as service providers by delivering new innovative offerings and next generation Wi-Fi 6 and services. So how do you address this? How do you as a service provider manage this? It begs the question, what do we mean exactly by managing or by managed Wi-Fi? And here's where we'll propose the concept of Wi-Fi management is more than just thinking about wireless channels or steering amendments from the IEEE, but it's really about thinking of Wi-Fi as managing the customer experience and the customer journey. It's not managing hardware, it's managing experiences. First, it all starts with a device management platform, one that's standards-based, utilizing TR69 to not only manage the traditional gateways that are in the customer's home and throughout your network, but also the wireless experience. Single pane of glass, one that gives your first level call center a red, yellow, green view to where problems are and with recommendations to next actions. One that even before this call even happens has stopped already dozens of calls before it with proper cloud analysis, looking at data patterns and congestion and traffic to make sure that the right channels and only the right channels are presented for consideration by that customer's access point based upon the environment around it. One that's going to integrate with your billing information and data in that same lens so that when your call center brings it up, you can begin to look at that customer from a true 360-degree view of them and find opportunities to upsell or make recommendations to plans that they may otherwise haven't really thought about. Call centers don't have to be cost centers. They can be tremendous profit centers, but they need the right data to be such. As you start to build that trust with your customer, delivering high quality broadband day in and day out, this becomes a Trojan horse. This new gateway, this new managed service really becomes a Trojan horse to gain more insight. It's helping you learn about your customers, their interests, their usage patterns, their behavior. When you've got the right software analytics, looking at all that data, a customer who was previously just a broadband tier and a street address takes on a completely new personality and a completely new understanding. They may be gamers. Maybe they're huge over-the-top, ultra-high definition video streamers. Maybe they're IoT enthusiasts or security fanatics. And around all those personalities that you start to glean from this data coming out, you can start to begin to see the kinds of experiences they're having. Are they constantly running speed tests around certain activities or at certain times? Are their device counts growing? And are they the bottleneck potentially based upon what those devices are to the experiences a customer wants to achieve? Over time, this kind of information grows and your customers now become very detailed targets for very specific types of offering by your sales and marketing organizations. Now, when you start thinking about marketing dollars, your dollars are spent precisely. You're surgically applying those dollars to specific customers' needs. You're sending flyers out to the right people for parental control or network security solutions, or for new broadband packages based upon the demand that you're actually seeing from those specific customers. You're also able to start thinking about your overall plant strategy and your growth strategy. Does this home in this neighborhood really need that plant upgrade? Would my dollars be better spent to go to this other area where I'm starting to see more consumptive activities in something else that's requiring that? Patterns of usage segmented by region help to make those really difficult capital spend decisions that, typically you only get basic marketing, demographic, and zip code information. They just don't bring today. This is really what we're talking about, moving beyond managed Wi-Fi. It's managing the network, it's managing the customer experience. But you have to have an arsenal of data to really make these decisions accurate and precise like this. So the steps to get there, well, from Calix's perspective, fundamentally, they're pretty straightforward. Most importantly, you couldn't have a better set of converging events that are happening right now. Number one, Wi-Fi 6 is being bombarded by retailers and online reviewers talking about its speed and its value. Mesh technologies are coming about, helping to extend coverage inside the home. It's this opportunity of choice overload that you have as an opportunity to actually step in and help. You can leverage that demand and those wallet dollars that those customers are ready to spend to upgrade their experience and deliver the next generation technology with the support behind it to make compelling and with pricing options and payment terms that help customers step into this more expensive technology than having to spend it all at one time at a Best Buy or an Amazon. For you, it's a much bigger opportunity than just Wi-Fi. If you do it right, you can now plant that Trojan horse inside the home. So what do? You leverage Wi-Fi 6 technology as an inflection point. You capture those retail consumer wallet dollars that they're ready to spend and eager to spend to deliver that best-in-class solution. You deploy not just a Wi-Fi 6 solution, not just a fully managed Wi-Fi 6 solution, but you do it with a data analytics platform with distributed compute functionality. It's going to give you the best subscriber experience to start building that trust. And as we talked about earlier on, trust is about retention. What's important about retention, which you historically and traditionally think about retention being recurring revenue, or what we like to talk about as customer lifetime value. Trust and retention specifically, is also about data. And it's about the accuracy of data coming into you. You have a customer that you retain. You have a continuous stream of information coming from them about their interests, their desires, their patterns of behavior, and those things change. So having that constant stream of data coming into you is incredibly important for you to have that insight that you need to build that next generation network and delight your subscribers. So when we talk about the future subscriber and the future needs of the subscriber, what does that look like? Well, once you've got that Trojan horse inside that customer's home, it's not only giving you all these data insights, but it's giving you a platform that you can now start to think about the new services you might be able to deliver on it, the kinds of offerings that you might be able to deliver directly to your customer that they don't have to go to retail, or they don't have to go to some other third party to obtain. The traditional gateway that sits at the center of the home, can really give you as a service provider that branded offering that puts your brand front and center in front of your customers to really change the perception of who you are as a service provider through that brand recognition of delivering all these services. You may have in the future new services coming about. Maybe there's services you deliver, whether it's home security, energy management, senior monitoring, home automation, whatever it may be. But when you do it, You do it with your brand. You do it with terms and conditions that your customers understand that are about you, not a third-party retail solution, not a solution they can buy separate and apart from you elsewhere in the retail space that don't require you as a service provider or don't leverage your strengths and importance to them as a service provider to deliver best-in-class experience. The brand really represents you and how important you are to that experience with your customers. And Calix is really focused on that today about putting your brand front and center with all of your customers. You don't see our name anywhere. You don't see our colors. Our service providers see those colors inside their networks. This is really about putting you as a service provider front and center and being your partner specifically. As you as a service provider start to deliver this branded offering, you deliver across your hardware only from you, you open the door to those next generation services, delivering with a click of a button, literally. If they're a solution that can be delivered in a containerized environment, we have the ability now in our lifecycle management platform to simply push a button and deliver that service directly to the gateway when the customer wants it or if the customer doesn't want it. So when you start to think about the future connected home, things like advanced surveillance, aging in place, or more importantly, that next big thing, right? And that next big thing, none of us know what that is. That's why we call it the next big thing. Well, why is that important to you? Well, number one, that next big thing is probably going to be cloud native. It's probably going to need local data and controls to data inside the home. It's going to need an incredibly fast and powerful, high quality, high bandwidth capable local network. And the only way for you to be there and ready when it happens is when you first built a brand of trust and reliability and expertise inside that customer's home on a platform that's ready to go to deliver that next big thing. And yes, you may not be the company that delivers the next big thing, but you do want your customers to say that when the next big thing comes along, there's no better service provider that I can go to ensure that it's delivered on the best network possible with the best support organization to help me through the pains that it's going to bring. And this is what's building trust. And trust is something you can bank on for years and years to come. It's not easy. And I hope if you've seen nothing from this, that you take away that it takes more than just a gateway and some management software. It's not just a TR69 platform and hardware. It's not just basic smart steering and roaming technology. It really takes looking at this business of managed wireless and the managed customer experience holistically from the customer's perspective. Delivering a complete solution suite, not just one of software and hardware, but the tools and expertise throughout the entire product and service life cycle to stand up, design, plan, execute, and manage this full customer experience. It takes sales expertise and understanding how to upsell to your customers by listening to their needs. You as a service provider probably often hire people to train your sales teams, right? It takes marketing expertise to understand how to take data and use it to find focused efforts for your brand and offering. It takes time and energy to build marketing materials, door flyers, bill inserts, web campaigns to hit the ground running fast when it's time to go. You have that expertise inside your company. You probably often use branding consultants and marketing agencies to do a lot of that for yourselves. And it takes training and education of technicians and installers of how to install Wi-Fi right first time, setting that first impression, building that brand of trust. You may actually today have outside plant consultants that you use to train and certify people in your company. So as you think about your next generation Wi-Fi offering and why you're doing it, think about the long game. Think about all the touch points in your organization that this managed wireless service can potentially impact your business positively and negatively. Then ask yourself, do I have all these things that I need, sales, marketing, operations, to be successful across my entire organization with Wi-Fi 6 and managed Wi-Fi and really deliver that next best in class home service that's there for years to come? If you don't think you have all the pieces, or you feel maybe you just have some of the pieces, but they don't really understand the big picture and how they all work together as an organization, we'd love to talk to you. This is what Calix does. It's what sets us apart from anyone else in the industry. We can deliver not only the hardware, not only the software, but the marketing services, the sales and training and education services, and all the professional services around it to really become your go-to partner to help you build, design, execute, and manage and monitor and monetize that network as you move forward. Want to thank you all very much for your time. We hope that this presentation leaves you with some thoughts about managed Wi-Fi and Wi-Fi 6 and how to think about it a little bit differently now. We'd be happy to talk to you. Carl or I are always available. Our email addresses are here. Many of you who are already our customers, you probably know your RSM very well. Certainly reach out to them directly too. But all of us are more than happy to help you in any way that we can. I want to thank you very much for your time today. For those of you who are Calix customers and part of the Calix family, we thank you for your ongoing support and dedication and trust to us over all these years to deliver your best-in-class next-generation networks. And we certainly hope those of you who are not customers of Calix today, this helps you think a little bit differently about Calix and how we think about where you need to go and where you need to be as a service provider, not just today, but for the future to come. So thank you all again very much, and good luck and enjoy your Mountain Connect show. Take care.